The Rebbe has a footnote right here in the very beginning. I was preparing a bit so that L'chayre it should be called Igros Kodesh. Lashon Rabbim, why is it called Igeres HaKodesh? And the Rebbe says Tzorech. But perhaps the reason is that since it was called Igeres HaTeshuva, so he's calling it Igeres HaKodesh, perhaps just Igeres HaTeshuva. Now let me tell you the history Bekitzer. The Alter Rebbe's Tanya originally had only two halakim, L'kuti Amorim Shefer Shal Beinim, L'kuti Amorim Shal Arichot Ve'emunah. Right? Tovkuf Samach Vav, which was 9 years after the original Tanya was published, the Alter Rebbe himself added L'kuti Amorim Chelik Shlishi, which is called Igeres HaTeshuva. The first printing of the Igeres HaTeshuva was a Madura Kama, was an earlier draft, and only in later Igeres HaTeshuva did they add the Madura Basa. Just the whole time was written twice. When the Rebbe passed away in Tovkuf Ayin Daled after the end of the war with Napoleon, his children, the Mittler Rebbe and Chaim Avraham and the Moshe, his three sons, decided to reprint the Tanya. And in the beginning of the book, on page Gimel, page 5, you have the Haskam of the Ne'agon and Mechaber, that they wrote for the reprinted Tanya after the Alter Rebbe's Histalkos at the end of the war with Napoleon. And what they did was, they gathered together all the writings of the Alter Rebbe in Chassidus that he wrote himself and published it in the Tanya. The Alter Rebbe did not write that much. He wrote the Tanya, the Shulchan Aruch himself, and he started to write a second draft. How much of a second draft he wrote, I don't know, but he started writing a second draft. He wrote the Tanya, and that's pretty much it. You have in Teirah 8 in one or two places Lashon Admor Be'atzmei, the Alter Rebbe's own language. But the Alter Rebbe did not write. And the reason he didn't write is perhaps like the Arizal didn't write. He couldn't concentrate himself into writing. Alter Rebbe used to speak. And what he said was written down by 5 Manichim, his brother Rabbi Yehuda Leib, his 2 sons, Rabbi Moshe and the Mittler Rebbe, his grandson, the Rebbe Tzadok, and also the Chassid, the Pinchas Shklar, Pinchas Shif. So there's very little original writings of the Alter Rebbe. So that's a Mittler Rebbe got together, and they decided to find all the original writings that they had. The Alter Rebbe wrote himself, that are Chassidus and published them with the Tanya. These are letters mostly. That's not all letters. Some of it is notes that he wrote for himself, especially the Kunter Sachen notes that he wrote when he was preparing the Kuti Amorim. So as he was preparing the Kuti Amorim, the Alter Rebbe was thinking a lot, and he was writing notes, resolving Stidus and Eitz Chaim and in Pri Eitz Chaim. So you have these notes in addition to the letters. And they decided to publish it with the Tanya. The letters are called the Igeres HaKodesh or Igeres Kodesh, and the notes are called Kunter Sachen. Although you have some notes in the Igeres HaKodesh and some letters in the Kunter Sachen, but this is the history. Alter Rebbe started to publish letters. The order of the letters is very weird. The way the letters are set up is very weird because it doesn't follow a pattern of chronology, for sure not. In other words, it's not like they're written in order of time. Okay, some letters written much earlier, found later, some letters written much later, found earlier, and so forth. It doesn't either follow what looks like a strict topical structure. The Rebbe meant Cheshbonus, the Mittler Rebbe was a Rebbe, and there's all kinds of secrets about how they set up the Cheshbon of the Igeres Kodesh and the Igeres HaKodesh. You understand? There's one theme that weaves its way through a majority of the letters. And what is that, you know? Which topic is most frequently discussed in the Igeres Kodesh more than anything else? Tzedakah. Alter Rebbe was obsessed with tzedakah. Alter Rebbe used to say that we can't learn anymore like they used to. We can't even daven like they used to. Our avodah is tzedakah. And we could avoid all the tzalos, Rachmana litzlan, through tzedakah. And Alter Rebbe himself practiced it. He was Meisei Nefesh. He gave away everything he had to tzedakah, and he remained a pauper his whole life. And he demanded from Chassidim, from Talmidim, from Mekusharim, they should also give tzedakah with a Mesiras Nefesh. This Igeres HaKodesh, however, and even the second Igeres HaKodesh, do not talk about tzedakah. They talk about other things. But nevertheless, this seems to be the majority of discussions in the Igeres HaKodesh is how it relates to even giving tzedakah. What is this first Igeres HaKodesh about? This first Igeres HaKodesh is about Chaluk Shas. Chassidim had a minhag to finish the Shas every year. Right? Not each person finishes the whole Shas, but they would share it amongst themselves. Alter Rebbe wanted that every minyan should finish the Shas, like it says in the the very last letter in the Bend of the Tanya. And he also wanted very much, when they're learning the Shas, it shouldn't just be a learning, it should be a learning which is connected to the Eibishter, which is the humility. So in this Igeres HaKodesh, he talks about dividing up the Shas and the simcha of learning Shas, but he also explains why it's so important that it's not enough to learn Torah, you also have to have davening. Because he says that the Shas, Teresh Baal Peh, holds up the emunah of a Yid, and the emunah of a Yid is the thighs, is the nehi of a Yid. The davening, on the other hand, holds up the moyach, the brain of the Yid, and the arms. The person is divided up into 3, the head, the arms, and the legs, and the thighs. Teresh Baal Peh supports the thighs, and that's the emunah. But the reish and the zrayas, the deeper levels of the person, are held up through limud travedis atfila. Now the Rebbe therefore says, I'm very happy you're learning Shas, but you must daven and must daven barichas. And if you don't, I'm going to be upset and I'm going to do something about it. That's what this Igeres HaKodesh is about. Okay? The Frierdiker has a note where he writes that this Igeres HaKodesh is written in 3 steps. The first page and 5 lines he wrote before he ever met them in Zitcher Magid. He already had a big following. Alter Rebbe had a big following. And before he left, he wrote them a letter about the Inyan of Teresh Baal Peh. Lomdes. Teresh Baal Peh holds up the Emunah. When he came back from his Ritz, he wrote a second part of the letter in which he writes that now I know that Teda is not enough, you got to daven. Because the davening supports the Teda. And then, when his Chassidim, a few years later, when his Chassidim, his Mukushodim, traveled all around, Alter Rebbe added the last part about how he's going to send spies to make sure that people daven in the daf. Let's begin to read this letter. You know, I'm thinking, one of the ways of articulating this Igeres HaKodesh is to explain these 2 psukim. Chagra ba'oiz mosneha. Mosnayim goes on the thighs, which is emunah, which is done through Teda. And ta'amo kitayv sachra is the tasting of the goodness of the schayt of Teda. This is the moyach and the zrayas, the reish and the zrayas. The Rebbe explains the kids in this Igeres HaKodesh. There's a lot of different ways of bringing out the nikud of this letter. The bottom line is, Alter Rebbe talks about how important it is to learn Teresh Baal Peh. And then he adds how important it is to daven to the Teresh Baal Peh should be connected to the Eibishter. And he says, you got to be careful how to do it. Even people who hold we cannot daven Shabbos and Menuchi have to daven. Hek the Alter Rebbe Aleph Pesach and Bebrach. Says the Alter Rebbe, I want to begin with a blessing Levarach Hadis La'avaya, to bless and to thank the Eibishter Kitei because he's good. And what is the goodness for the Eibishter thanking the Eibishter? And this was written the first time. And the Alter Rebbe was about 18 and a half or 19 and a half, and his Talmidim upon him finished the Shas together. Shmu wa Teva Shalma wa Tchinafshi, good. The idea has reached me and has given me life. What is that goodness? Ain't Teva. Teva is nothing good except for the Teva. Teva is Avaya Tmimu, when the Teva of the Eibishter is whole and perfect. When is the Eibishter Teva whole and perfect? When you have Zu Ashlam Askala Shas Kulei, the completion of the entire Shas, that this was done. Bereva Yaros and Minyanim in both cities and Minyanim Shul Menash of Chasidim. Says Alter Rebbe Heido Allah, I'm thanking you for this Kaluk of Shas on the past. Ubakosh Allah said that I'm asking for the future that people should finish the Shas. How should Hashem give an at? To strengthen their hearts by giving them amongst the strong. That midei shana, each year, begvura shall Teda with the strength of Teda. And to inform and to reveal Bnei Adam to people. Gvura shall Teda Shebal Peh, the strength of Teda Shebal Peh, v'keach oiz, and the power of its might. We'll continue this in a moment. The Chassidim had a minig, Alter Rebbe instituted an idea of Chalukas HaShas. Like it says in the last page of the Tanya, in the Kuntas Acher. This is the first page of the Igeres HaKodesh. The last page of the Kuntas Acherin, the Alter Rebbe makes the request. That's on page 324 or 325. The Alter Rebbe makes the request that people should learn the whole Shas. He says that they should divide up the Shas based on the people that they have, either based on the Geidel, or people should pick. And they don't have enough people, they should join with another minyan. But they should try his best. Every minyan should have their own Chalukas HaShas. And the Alter Rebbe was very happy about the fact that they did it. And the Rebbe writes in his letters, when you participate in Chalukas HaShas, it's as if you're learning the whole Shas. Because since you cannot learn the whole Shas in 1 year by yourself. So it becomes a case of Shnaim She'asuhu. When 2 people or 10 people or 50 people do something together that no individual one can do by himself, then it becomes a collective effort of all of them, and all of them are learning the whole Shas. The Rebbe had a big student, they could campaign to learn Shas, Teresh Baal Peh. And he says, and to reveal to people the great power of the Teda Shebal Peh, and the power of its ois. What's so special about learning Teda and Gemara? I just want to mention that the word ois is mentioned in Tanya Perek Lamed Vav Bakama Makemis. Ois means might, but it doesn't mean power, like strength, like force. It means qualitative might, echuzdik strength, like the power to concentrate something. Right? Ois doesn't only mean strong, but ois means concentrate. Like the idea that you could take the Ein Sof of Hashem and put it into a small capsule. Or Hashem could reveal His Ein Sof and we should be able to get it without it blowing us up. That's called ois. It's a qualitative power. Teda is a qualitative power called ois. So in order to reveal the Gvura and the ois of Teda, Peter Shlomo Melech Alav Shalom, Shlomo Melech explains it. That a person girdles with ois, which is Teda his loins, his waist, v'chuli and so forth, v'geimen and so forth. Yeah, this is an Eishes Chayil. And I'm sure you know that the whole Eishes Chayil is not describing your mother, although she's a very nice lady. Eishes Chayil is describing every single neshama, including ours, that it goes away from Hashem and comes into this world. So on Friday night, when it comes home to her husband, we praise the neshama for its struggling and succeeding in El Mazeh HaGashmi. And one of the things we say as praise to the neshama for its survival in this lifetime is Chagra Be'ez Masneh. It girdles itself with power, its loins. So this is the koyach of the neshama to overcome the difficulties of this world. And he says that it always goes on Torah. Masnayim heim. What are the thighs? Dov alamayim kalaguf. It's the lowest part of the body that holds up the entire body. Meaning to say, it includes also the head and the torso, which stand and exist above it. The heim and the thighs, the legs, they bring and they carry you to your place of destination, to where you want to go. And there it brings in the footnotes, Mechois in Sechta Erev, it means sitting. And in Tanakh, it brings a pasuk from the Radak, and Mechois means gevul, to the edge of Chefte, what you desire. Yeah, two translations. Mechois Lashon gevul and Mechois Lashon ir. Torah is like the thighs, is supporting the thighs, which bring you to where you need to go. So Torah itself is not the thighs. Torah strengthens the thighs. What is the thighs? The thighs, you'll see in a moment, this is Emunah. And the Emunah holds up the whole person. And it gives you the power to overcome Elam Hazeh. And the power of Emunah we get from learning Gemara. Torah Shemalpim. Mosnayim, what are the thighs? It holds up the whole body with the head and it's on the top of them. And these thighs, they carry and they bring you to the place of your limit and the place of your city. Just as it's true physically, it's also true spiritually in the godly soul. That what are the thighs which carry a person to where he needs to go in Avodas Hashem? True belief, true higher than seichel attachedness and the Eibush that ain't Seibarach. The ego that he is a malik, when he reveals himself in the world, he's hidden from the world's moreover upon him in a place where he is not. In other words, it seems like Pshutim, as we discussed earlier in the Shara Yichad Ve'emunah. There's no place which is pointing empty minay from Ilamayla above other cats without an angle, mata the takas and below without a purpose. V'chein the dalet sitting as well as the four sides of B'chinas Ein Sof Mamish, the Eibush Ein Sof is everywhere. So when a Yid learns Teirish Ba'peh, which strengthens the Emunah, the Musnayim of a Yid, this helps him go through the Selam Hazeh. V'chein b'chinas,
What is the Adin Tafis?
Beyond the purpose. I don't know what else it means. V'chein b'chinas Shana v'nefesh Kaneda, this is true in Eilam and in Shana and Nefesh. Just like Emunah makes us recognize that the Eibush Ein Sof is all over Eilam, the world. The same is true. The Eibush Ein Sof is all over Shana and all over Nefesh. It says in the Maimed from the Alter Rebbe, which the Rebbe quotes in the Rishimis, that Nefesh means the Ruchnis of the world, Eilam means the Gashmis of the world. And Shana means Zman, time, which connects the Ruchnis and the Gashmis of this world. It says the Rebbe, Hine, Emunah zu nikra b'shem b'chinas masnayim. What is the idea of Emunah in the Eibishter, which strengthens us in this lifetime to serve Hashem? It's called the thighs. Because it is davar amayim d'makayim mesaresh. It's something which stands up and gives existence to the head. Hu asech, which includes the intelligence which is in the head. Hamizbeinin umaymik, that thinks and delves deeply. Das and his understanding. B'gdol saying Tebarach and the greatness of Hashem and b'chinas elam shalom nefesh. All three levels of Ein Shalom Nefesh. Right? So you have to learn Torah because Torah strengthens the Emunah and the Eibishter. Brave, chas, David, in place of Imanu and his great kindness and his wondrous acts to us. Liyesam Kereva, since we're his chosen, we're close to him. Dafka be mamish to become attached to him, mamish. Today, as it is no mamish when it says in the Mishnah. Yo, for sure, achad b'tshuv ma'is deil malmaz, it's better to have 1 hour of tshuva and good deeds. It means ma'isem teiv when we eat him in this world. Mikol chay el mabah, more the life of el mabah. Why? Because el mabah shurak ziva ha'ar is only a ray, and the light mabachina nikra shechina from the, it's only a ray of the shechina. Hasheicha b'chol which rests in the worlds. The Rebbe writes in the footnote, maybe this should be hasheichanas. B'nivra b'yudei achad shmei yitzbarach chol was only with the letter yud. In mit Hashem gets kedesh hey. The 5th letter will talk about this idea of yud and hey. So the ruchnis the worlds are only ha'ar of Hashem's like a ray of Hashem's infinity, and they're created by the letter yud. Aval tshuva ma'isem tevim, the tshuva and ma'isem tevim we do in this world. Mekarv and Yisrael, they bring Yidden close laviyim shabashmayim mamish to their Father in heaven mamish. Lemhusei vatzmusik ve'achat, they bishted himself b'chinas ein sof mamish as infinite mamish. When we learn Torah and do mitzvahs in this world, we reach the Eibishter mamish. Ukmeshagos, as the pasuk says, Hey dalez v'shamoy, the ray of Hashem is in the heaven and the earth, only a ray, not the essence. But vayarim ken liyame v'chuli v'geime, that the essence of Hashem is available la'amer. And Asher Kedishon b'mitzvahs b'tivonu Hashem has sanctified us and made us special, and so on. Ukabayim upon v'chuli, as it says in Tanya Perek Mavav, that the person's, the Eibish's love for a Yid reveals a Yid love for the Eibush to give birth. Mitfun is through this understanding of how Hashem loves us and favors us. The chilu, the chibu of fear of Hashem and the love of Hashem, sichli, which is intellectual. Oitiri, more natural love for the Eibishter. The yes, that a person should be in a state of bechinas ta'ach, li'mal Hashem, you should scream to the Eibishter from a desire to be close. Oy, bechinas rishpei like a fiery coal, which will have us as in a very strong flame. Bechinas ratzu to run to the Eibishter. Right, what does the Alter Rebbe is saying? When a person realizes the dafka in this world, you can look at the Eibishter mamish. It's not just only a gili, like it was in the Ruchnizdika worlds. Right? And afterwards, you settle down from your urgent running to the Eibishter. Hashem believe that there should be a fear of the Eibishter in your heart for Levish, to be embarrassed by his greatness. Who begin to smell as if the left hand the Eibishter is pushing you away. The people saw the Eibishter by knew and they trembled. The game in the stood far away. And Yira and Ahava are the arms of the body and the soul. So Emunah is the misnayim, is the thighs. Yira and Ahava are the zrayis, the arms. And of course you'll see soon that they something even pneumistic than that. This is the Reishu Meir. So you strengthen the misnayim by learning Teresh Shabbat. So the Rebbe says you should know Emunah is very important. Emunah is the Yesod. It holds up the whole person. And when a Yid has Emunah, he's able to be a Yid in this world and connect to Atzmos, which is not Shaychas in Gan Eden. How do you strengthen your Emunah through doing Teresh Shabbat? Isn't that interesting? You'd think you have Emunah, you have to Verbrengen and learn about the Tzara, you have to learn Parshat Gemara. Teresh Shabbat strengthens your Emunah. Feels like the fun. What was your counter question?
The Gilui thing, you said that down here in this world, you actually got connected to Hashem, but up there it's just the Gilui of Hashem. What is it?
It means that since over there the neshama actually feels, what it feels is limited. Since down here we don't feel anyway, the Eibush is able to give us the whole truth. And there's a lot of different explanations, but this is one of them. The Rebbe mentions it in Tanya Perichav Gimel. When we do a mitzvah down here, since it's the Kavanah, Sabriya, the whole Eibush is in these mitzvahs. Okay? So the Rebbe wrote a letter, and this was the end of the letter which he wrote before he left him as rich, the importance of learning Teresh Baal Peh and finishing the Shas, because it strengthens Emunah. The first time he wrote it before he went to Mezrich, till here. His Talmidim.
His Talmidim.
Yeah,
he had Talmidim before he went.
Yeah. The Rebbe Talmidim was Bar Mitzvah Yinkel.
He went, oh, wow.
The Rebbe was a Goan HaGoinim. The second piece was after he came back from Mezrich, where he writes about David. 18 and a half or 19 and a half.
Wow.
The Talmidim of the Rebbe were Goinim, and they were Bali Mesiris Nefesh. I mentioned to you before that the Geras HaKedesh is about tzedakah. The Rebbe demanded from his Talmidim that they should give tzedakah. And if they didn't want to give the tzedakah, he didn't look at his Talmidim. The Rebbe was Mesiris Nefesh for tzedakah himself, and he expected Mesiris Nefesh from other people as well.